the biggest things is just when you don't have to worry about like one side of the business, and the side of the business is continuing to fuel the business, which that's another conversation. Like a lot of times marketing can be an expense rather than something that ends up putting dollars back on the table.
All right, welcome to another episode of Real Estate vs. Tech. I'm your host, Norman Kinsey. We have our co-host, Mr. Dan Gandy. Welcome, Dan.
Glad to be here, guys.
Awesome. Today, we have a very special guest for y'all, a little bit of a different podcast. Today, we're going to be actually interviewing someone who's more on the coaching and marketing side in this real estate space. His name's Andrew. He's someone that is wanting to help lenders scale their marketing by giving them great marketing accessible to them. And the number one thing that caught my attention is the fact that he wants to impact 1 billion individuals, which is awesome. Andrew, welcome to Real Estate vs. Tech. We're excited to have you today.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, of course, man. So the show's all about you, your business. We'd love to be able to deep dive a little bit more into that. So how long you been in the business and like what made you get started in this industry serving, it seems like lenders? Is that your main focus?
So actually most of the clients that I work with tend to be on the realtor side in real estate.
Okay.
So, but it's kind of like a mix of both at this point.
Nice, fantastic. How long you been in the business and what made you kind of get into it?
So from a marketing side, it's been about 1.5 or 2 years now. Before this, I was actually working with a small, like luxury custom home builder over here in Tampa. Nice. And that's where I kind of got my foot in the door in real estate, but it kind of goes a little farther back. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Cutco, like the knife company.
Yeah. I got some.
Nice.
Cut it up.
I did that for 5 years. So that's where I got into the sales world. And doing that, it's a very big referral based business. And that's how I started walking in like a lot of higher end homes. And I always thought about getting into real estate, but I never actually did. I never took like the jump. And I went through college. Then I went through like my own little fitness journey of getting in shape. And that's where I got into marketing. And that's where I really dove a lot more into marketing. And then I transitioned from that and I got an opportunity to work marketing and sales for the builder. And I kind of saw almost like this in the small business world where you're very limited on resources versus like a Fortune 500 CEO type company. You could have an entire marketing team. Small businesses, they hire one marketer, tends to be like right out of college or a friend or whatever, or sometimes they just have 100 different freelancers. So my vision is like, well, why not build a marketing agency that could fulfill everything you need: video editing, repurposing, distribution, content, media buying, retargeting, all of that. You could hire them rather than trying to hire just one marketing person. So that's kind of like the big vision that I'm building up for.
I love that.
Nice.
And it's so true. It's so true. Sorry, Dan, I was just going to say it's true that, a lot of these small business owners need your help.
Yeah, we have a similar background. I used to work for a luxury builder and developer. And that's how I kind of utilized my marketing degree when I first got into this business. And you resonate on some of the same frustrations. Like there's limited budget, you need leads, you need projects, but you can't reach into your Rolodex and your massive credit card and start swiping. So yeah, totally, man.
Yeah, so true. So kudos to you. So how long have you been in the business so far, helping out real estate professionals, lenders with their marketing?
So that's been about 2 years. Before that, I was with the builder for about 2 to 3 years.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
Fairly new.
Are you still
kind of growing.
Supporting the builders, or have you gone now full on your own?
Yeah. So that's an interesting story in itself. But basically, I left they hired me back. Then they tried to bring it in-house, and then that didn't work out. And probably like 3 months ago, I was approached by them again and like, hey, we need help.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
Now you have that authority, and they're like, well, we know Andrew does a great job, and we're not getting the success that we would like to with him. So, hey, you know what? Let's just go ahead and on his terms, work with them. And dude, congratulations to you on that. So what exactly do you do at your company? What does that look like for you? What does like a day look?
Yeah. So for the most part, so there's two almost sides to the company at this point. I can go into that. But what I spend most of my time is kind of being like that outsourced marketing team for usually high performance real estate teams where they don't have to hire someone in-house. So what that looks like is basically, for example, like one client in Seattle, I do most of his social media, if not all of his posting, video content. So he doesn't handle any of that, doesn't really touch his social media unless he's doing personal stories or other things. And then like email newsletters every single week to his client, as well as drip campaigns, everything media buying from retargeting. Like that's where I got into it. I really like just ads. So I know Facebook, Instagram, actually moving a lot into YouTube just because
Nice.
Facebook has limitations at this point for real estate.
Cooled off, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's cooled off. Yeah, it's harder.
It's that housing button.
Yeah, man, they need to get rid of that stuff. It's not to go on a tangent here, but when they did that, man, they repelled 50% of the people who would spend a lot of money, and it had nothing to do with equal housing. It had everything to do with like you need to be able to target. You have to. So
yeah, or you're just kind of spraying and praying. So awesome. So where are you located at?
So I live in Tampa, Florida.
Nice. Awesome. And so I have one more question before we're going to switch this over to Dan, and Dan's going to go ahead and ask you some questions as well. So what's the best part about doing what you do with supporting and serving this amazing industry with your offering?
So I think it's most real estate professionals, they're professional and they don't really necessarily take the time to kind of open up and really build their brand on social media and kind of share who they are, their story. And I realized like when I went down my fitness journey, I was that type of person. I just like learning and I would share what I learned. And I didn't realize how I was coming across. I was coming across as like that boring teacher that everyone just doesn't pay attention to. And then I learned from this guy named Nicholas Cole. I started seeing his responses on Quora, and I started seeing how he used storytelling. He was very relatable. He packaged his information very well. And then I took that and I used that for fitness. And I just saw this power of like storytelling and just being relatable and allowing people to actually get to know you online just translates your physical success into the digital space. So I think seeing that evolution where people are actually open to sharing a little, and it's not like you share all your skeletons in your closet or anything, like it has nothing to do with that. Yeah. It's just more or less allowing people to see you're on the same level as them, or you've been through what they've been through, and that you can relate to them basically at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The authenticity of social media is only amplified when you're social, and that's why they call it social media. So that's, man, we've beat that groundhog into the hole a million times by, telling, we can automate certain parts of your social media. We can help with listing promotions and magnifying and accelerating that. But we need you on stories. We need you on reels. We need you to be building grid content that resonates. And if you can't do that, you'll never be fruitful in terms of generating leads and keeping your DMs full of people. So,
yeah. No, definitely. And I absolutely love, Andrew, what you're doing. I have your Instagram behind me. And the presence is just so professional, looks so great. You know, the videos, the cadence, everything about it. And for our viewers and listeners out there, it's so important. If they're not transparent and people buy from they know, like, and trust, and if they can't understand who you are and know, like, and trust you from your social media, then it's just like, okay, well, I don't know. And not to mention, people buy, you know, they'll forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget that what you know made them feel. So, you know, it's so true. And I'm sure, Andrew, you deal with it too for the viewers and listeners out there. Like, you can manage, right? And you can help them with PR and manage and do all this type of stuff. But if they're not going to pick up their phone and you're not going to do a video, or you're not going to show some type of transparency of who you really are, it's really hard to, you know, get that out. I mean, unless they're doing lifestyle photography, and then you can tie it in with long text and a story, which I think even that, because of Instagram Reels, which is like the new TikTok for Instagram, you get 15 to 30 seconds to impact someone. And if you're not doing it, then it's just like, what are you doing? You know, you really got to take advantage of. Also, as you probably already know, that's where the algorithm favors you're at for our viewers and listeners too, is on that, you know, Instagram Reel side. So
an example is like, have either of you guys ever met someone like famous in person, or like someone you admired like a lot?
Yeah.
And Snoop Dogg.
And you had this feeling after, it's like, wow, this person's like, they're just a real person. Like, they're human.
Yes.
That's kind of the same way a lot of social media is, where it's like your followers feel like you're at a distance from them, like you're at some other level than them. So if you never allow yourself to kind of get on that same level, allow them to like relate with you, then they're always going to kind of be at that distance where they think you're almost like unreachable or unconnectable. And it's more of a psychological thing than it is them actually thinking you're this like amazing person.
It's so true. Yeah, we see it in the real estate space all the time. Some agents that are being coached by the one, the only Ryan Serhant. And there's that perceived perception of this reality that is like, okay, like Ryan's here and everyone's kind of below him, which that's not the case. He's a real person. And, you know, you got to understand too, I mean, if you have 1 million people reaching out to you, it's hard to get back to all of them to show that you're a real person. But we have other agents following that model, and depending on your market and who you are, for the viewers and listeners out there, and you're showing Lamborghinis and helicopters and all these things that are maybe outside of the scope of the ideal client you want to focus on, I think that's also very important for people to understand, like, who's your target demographic, who are you speaking to, and how are you going to speak to them to be on the same level. So yeah, I definitely agree on that. But I'm going to go ahead and change up the camera view and give it over to Dan. Dan has some questions to go a little bit more deep dive into your offering for our viewers and listeners. You never know, potentially someone who's viewing or listening might want to take advantage of your offering. So go ahead, Dan, take it away.
Yeah, for sure. So can you give me any, success or case study based upon, how you're increasing the bottom line GCI of agents using your strategy or your marketing?
Yeah. So I think an example is like one of the teams I worked with went from 35 million to 75 million last year during COVID. And there's a lot of pieces that go into doing something like that. One of the biggest things is just when you don't have to worry about like one side of the business, and the side of the business is continuing to fuel the business, which that's another conversation. Like a lot of times marketing can be an expense rather than something that ends up putting dollars back on the table for a lot of people. But yeah, so with them, we were able to basically build a traffic generation where we're able to get him and his team leads that they would actually work. And they were able to get close to like 6.5 million just from that source, from like 12,000 spend or so last year. And that was just, and obviously there's other things that are like intangible. The fact that posting 5 times basically a week for the entire year, putting out video, it's kind of, I try to look at it as 3 levels. You have that initial lead gen, then you have that gets people into your world. What happens once you're in the world? They're in your world.
Of the world.
Yeah. So like the video, the content, the email marketing, And then you have, once they're already like a client, how do you continually get more people from them? So like we launched a VIP program for his clients, and that Airbnb giveaway that we did in the fall, that got a lot of business for referrals. So it's a lot of different pieces, but having those layers helps to kind of fuel the business, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's setting up those systems and creating that relationship machine, I like to call it, is essential. And then how do you nurture that? What's your nurture machine at that point then too? So
yep.
Totally. And then, there's a lot of competition in this space. We know, everyone knows that, you can pretty much Google search real estate marketing and a million companies come up. Really, what differentiates you from, somebody who's looking at other options?
So there's kind of like two sides. So one, it's like you have the people who are all just about leads, and it's like, that's great.
Which is like 95% of people. We get it. Yeah.
So like, and you'll see them, it's like, oh, I got a 50-cent lead, I got $1 lead. But it's like, okay, great. Now how much work do you have to put in to actually get that 50-cent lead to convert? And like, sure, what systems on the front end do you have to deal with it? And then what systems on the back end? So it's like, you have that side, and then you have the other side of the people who are like, oh, I'm getting a dollar per view or a penny per view and all these views and impressions and followers. So you have the two extremes to the business, where people are either super brand focused, where they never bring it back to like tangible. And then people are so focused so much on ROI and the cheapest dollar, cheapest lead, whatever. And that kind of hurts them. I think of us as more of like the middle, where it's like, you need the brand, you need the front end business, you need both, because both fuel each other. So I kind of look at it more holistically, I guess.
I like that strategy because I'm a broker myself, and I run ads sometimes that I know are not really going to convert, but it gets my face in the area. And that's all I care about. Like, I don't care if people click on it, as long as they're seeing my brand and my face. Then they're going to, maybe the next ad or the ad after that or the ad after that or the YouTube video after that is, they're like, God damn it, I've seen this person. Like, what are they talking about this time? So, and that intangibility of measuring ROI based upon brand awareness, reach and frequency, top of mind, those are the things in ad agency. Like, my degree was in advertising. And I always tell everybody, like, there's a reason why big companies spend millions of dollars with ad agencies, because building top of mind, positioning, top of funnel awareness, you can't really measure by just directly looking at sales. But over the longevity of your brand and your growth, you're going to see that number be able to help accelerate the sales. And
agreed.
Yeah, I think most real estate agents need to comprehend that there's two buckets there. And if it's only leads that you're generating, but you have no brand, if you ever turn off that machine, you have no longevity. That's pretty much what it is. So just a couple quick questions. Like, if somebody wants to work with you, is it a custom quote per project? Is it a price range? Like, what are you looking at?
Yeah. So with like the business side, building A Impact Media, there are packages, and usually somewhere around the $1,000 to $1,500 a month upwards from there. But because there is some custom behind it, there's a little a la carte. Like, there's no long-term contract. That's the one thing I hate, is like, you're with a marketing agency for 6 or 12 months and you hate working with them and you want to leave for 3 months later. You're trying to find your way out of it. So that's something that just no contracts, basically. But
Smart.
yeah, it's a little custom, but there are packages, I would say. Now, the other side to it is, like, I have what I want to build and I'm building, but I also realize I can't service everyone with that. It's more towards people who need that marketer or trying to hire that marketing team now. So there's another side of the business that I got brought in as a partner that's it's more scalable. It's more cost effective for everyone, where it's like, we give you content every single month, and literally all you have to do is post it. So trying to kind of have something to serve more people.
Makes sense. Totally makes sense. Two really quick fun questions. Like, what do you like to do on the week? Like, what is your hobby outside of this conversation? Like, tell us about who you are.
That's an interesting thing, because if you asked my fiance, she would say work, because that's all I tend to do. But like, I'm big into health and fitness, because I've seen the difference. Like, I used to be overweight as a kid. I used to be made fun of for my weight. So I've been through all of that. Yeah. And I realized the difference of having that like energy. It's nice to have. So I would say that health and fitness. I like books. I like reading. Like, I have Audible, a couple hundred books on there. So I'm a little boring in that sense, but then you still go out on the weekends and stuff, hang out with friends, stuff like that. But
totally. And then if I called you and I said you could buy one car right now, what car would it be?
A Tesla, probably.
Nice. Right. Great. Well, that's all I got. Thank you for breaking it down with me, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. And yeah, definitely, Andrew. I love that. One thing that comes up for me is I always like to tell agents, it's like either it's AirBnB analogy. You either own the Airbnb, you have the authority, you can rent it out, and then you can just share it with your friends and family, or you just rent the Airbnb, and then the Airbnb, after you're done using it, it goes away. So do you want to buy leads and have no authority, or do you want to own the Airbnb and have an authority because, you built that foundation, right? And you have that brand awareness and what have you. So I got about 3 more questions, and then I'm going to let the floor be open to you. As the end of the show, we always like to have the guests be able to have the floor. And so what's like a couple things for me. What's like the newest thing that you're working on that maybe people should look out for? Because it sounds like you had like the higher tiered stuff. Now you potentially have something to help more people. That's going to be a little bit more scalable. Is that like the one thing that you're working on right now? Or is there any like little something that you can give to the viewers and listeners to look out for after they go and they follow you on your social media and potentially are interested in working with you guys?
Yeah, so I would say there's a couple things. I guess it just depends more or less what you're speaking towards specifically. I would say to look out like YouTube. Like, everyone's on Facebook. Everyone can put up a Facebook ad. It's not super complicated, but to put up a YouTube ad, it's a lot harder. And it costs a little bit more. So there's a lot less competition, but you could target very granular to like a 1 mile area. You can target homeowners, and then you can layer that with like income levels, intent. So there's a lot of targeting options that Facebook used to have that YouTube still has. So that's one thing I would say, is if you're looking to spend a budget, that's one area. But as far as like in general, I think at this point, like, for example, and not to hate on it, because I think Zillow is pushing the industry forward. At the end of the day, it's causing changes to be made, and the consumer does need Zillow at some level because they need that tech. Brand, at the end of the day, is the only thing that's going to separate people once things start to get commoditized or whatever. So the brand that you build, the video, that's going to be huge. So the more you can build that foundation, you can really cement yourself, I would say. And then you said, look out for me. I don't know. I just want to kind of see how scalable, how broad could I go with providing like a marketing service like this to teams, because I definitely feel like everyone needs it, or else you're going to hire 100 different freelancers. So trying to figure out a solution for that is going to be interesting.
Nice.
I've been there, my friend. Marketing director of a large team, and it's a challenge, man. There's a lot of different working pieces, and I think if you have the budget there and you can outsource, to have a one-stop shop solution gets expensive. and there's got to be ROI. So it's always a battle.
Yeah, no,
exactly.
For sure. And I love that. It's so true. I feel like for the viewers and listeners out there with Open Door and a lot of these different providers that are just trying to offer you an instant offer, they say that like 95% of the transaction volume is done by the top 10% of real estate professionals. Average age of real estate professionals, 57, average buyers, 34, 20-year plus gap in the marketplace. And like I was saying before, like, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And that's the thing, like a Zillow name, they might know, like, and trust it, and then feel like, hey, I'm just going to do his estimate and I'm just going to go ahead and take their instant offer. But if you're following someone and you're an agent out there that has a brand, who is consistent, who has good content, that, you are making people feel something, where then like you're just kind of like in the back of their mind because you hit on that emotional, like kind of like key on the keyboard. I think that's really going to help differentiate these agents out there. And it's definitely a reason why Real Estate First Tech is here, and why a lot of the viewers and listeners need to take this stuff seriously. Because the last question that I have for you, Andrew, is about basically technology disrupting the real estate industry. Do you feel that technology is going to disrupt the traditional ways that real estate professionals have been marketing their businesses for years and years and years, like before COVID?
Short answer is yes. It's like it's almost like what won't technology disrupt? Like, I just started using a service that, and I don't use it for everything, but it can handle almost most of the copywriting needs I have. Like, it's an AI copywriter, and the entry level package for is $29 a month. So like something at that low of a cost, like that would normally cost you a copywriter like a couple $1,000s to do.
Yeah.
I think it's more or less, at the end of the day, it's not a matter of if it will, it's like how and when. It's the same thing with like Zillow. Zillow is here to stay. If you look at their website, Zillow Group, they have what they plan on doing as their headline. They want to make the transaction as seamless and as simple as possible. How do you do that? Well, you own the entire experience, from mortgage to title to real estate, everything, because that's the only way you can have that Amazon-like seamless experience, one click. So I think at the end of the day, that's going to be there, but we also have to realize there's Apple, there's Amazon. Apple only has like a 25% market share on smartphones. They're a $1 trillion company, but they're not the only one. Amazon has, I think, like 40% of e-commerce market share, $1 trillion company. They're still at 60%. So Zillow is going to, yep. So there's always going to be a reason, and people are always going to hire an amazing agent, because the amazing agent is going to provide a level of experience and be able to do more than what someone will do. Now, what I am kind of saying a lot is that middle, in that low tier, like the middle agent or the low tier agent is going to get squeezed, but there's always going to be room for that excellent, amazing agent or those amazing teams.
Yeah. Exactly. I think when you look at it from the very, very, very psychological basic fundamentals is technology will never make you feel something like a human being to a human being connection. And so there's always going to be a price point for someone to say, hey, I like the experience of getting popped in the car, or I like the experience of working with someone who's going to drive to ensure my success through the process. Those individuals are going to have a higher level of offer as far as standard operating procedures, KPIs, to make sure they're maximizing income producing activities outside of these onesie-two agents that are going to be fly by night, not here anymore, one day here, one day not. And, for viewers and listeners out there, there's nothing against any of you, equal opportunity for all. But I feel like this industry needs to have a higher level of standard, which that's what Zillow is doing and technology is doing. Because if you're not going to have the higher level of standard, you're kicked out. You're goodbye. See you later.
And I always kind of look at it like you brought up Amazon. I mentioned eBay. If you want to get something, you can jump on Amazon, get it shipped to your house in 2 days. If you want to list something on eBay, you can take some pictures, drop it on there, sell it maybe in 2 days, 2 months, who knows? But there's always flea markets. there's always the experience of people going shopping at Target on the weekends. And that experience of like people still enjoy doing things, you can't really replicate in a technology world unless it's like VR and they like put on their headset and next thing you know, they're shopping. So yeah, I think it's, you brought up some really good points.
That's a whole nother topic, the VR, AR. I don't know if you guys heard the book Quantum Marketing, but that kind of made me go down a rabbit hole where it's like, you look at the internet boom, the .com boom, and the social media boom. Both of those kind of disrupted everything in like a second. So it's like when you combine all of the crypto, the blockchain, the AR, the VR, and all of that becomes normalized, the world's going to look a whole lot different in 5 years. So that's interesting.
Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Go Dogecoin. And so, we had a guy on here that does VR and augmented reality. He was on, I believe, last week's episode. So really cool guy, Ulysses out of the Bay Area, or I think he's out of Sacramento. He's in Sacramento.
Yep.
So we've had guests on the show talking about that, which is really, really cool. And so it's interesting where this industry is going. And that's where at Real Estate vs. Tech, we want to always talk about it, right? So people that are listening can kind of be ahead of it and check out some of these different technologies, or even just think about how do they want to position themselves moving forward in the next 5 years. So that's my last question. Moving forward, we'll make sure to have all the links down below so they can check you out, Andrew. We're now at the part of the show where we want to make the floor be open to you. So is there anything that you're working on, or how can they get in touch with you, or something you just want to leave with the guests and viewers that are watching here on today's episode? Floor is yours. Take it away.
I would just say if you're trying to learn how to be a better marketer in real estate, or just learn marketing advertising, follow me on Instagram or YouTube, which I'm starting to get up. I'm just trying to basically put as much as I can out there constantly and still be like decent quality too. But I'm just trying to share everything that I know, because why not? Because I can't work with everyone. So
that's awesome.
Find your ideal client.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Well, Andrew, thanks so much for being on Real Estate vs. Tech today. We really do appreciate it. And we'll make sure that we have all your information down below. Dan, thanks so much for being a co-host today. We appreciate your time today.
As always. Thanks, guys.
And of course. And thanks to all our viewers and listeners, as it is our intention for you to take something from our episodes to apply to your business, have more massive success. And we will see you on the next one.
And made it to the end. Well, thank you so much for watching Real Estate vs. Technology. We hope you found value, especially something you can apply to your real estate business. If you could do us a favor, we would appreciate it. A thumbs up. If you subscribe, hit the notification bell. You'll be notified for new episodes coming out. And comment below, what the heck did you learn? If you want to join our Facebook group page, there's a link right here. And if you want to be featured on Real Estate vs. Technology, send us a DM on our Instagram page. We'll see if we get you on the show. So take care. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.